This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
Oh, man. We very nearly witnessed an all-timer today. The Mavs coming back from 31 down against the Clippers to lead at one point, 105-104. But LA's finishing kick by James Harden and Paul George ties the series up at 2 games apiece. Welcome into the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Mike Leslie, Andrew Cely, our esteemed panel coming your way momentarily. Andrew, that was theater today.
Unreal is the best way to describe it. And I was worried because I was coming into today sitting there thinking, is it the playoff beard? No, it's not. In fact, it's actually the fact that the Mavs play at 2:30 on Sunday. We need to move that back if this eventually does go to a Game 7.
That's what determined the basketball game. Okay.
Absolutely. Especially the slow start. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, let's get right into it with what's on the show, sponsored by NFM. All right, we got to start with what was nearly the greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. Mavs and Clippers now tied at 2 games apiece. Also this week, the NFL Draft concluded, and did the Cowboys do enough to shore up their roster? And last week was so much fun, we decided to do it again. No fence riding, this time with a trio of topics centered around athletes who have had their accolades stripped away. That's what's on the show, Mike. Who is on the show?
Yeah, Andrew, we got a great panel today, and we start off with our Mavs-centric panel as we bring in our own Jonah Javad, and from the Locked On Mavs podcast, Nick Angstadt. Nick, I know you were there in the building today just a little bit ago. Take me through what your experience was like in this incredible Mavs comeback and your takeaways from what was a ridiculous Game 4.
Absolutely insane. You can see they're taking the court down. They can't take me down, Mike. I'm still here, still in the AAC. And this game was just the stars give and the stars take away. Kyrie didn't score until the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, and then he goes on an insane tear, scores 40 points in this one, and it was really the catalyst that really drove this comeback from down 31 to take the lead with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, which was just absolutely insane. Luka, you saw him in the first quarter. He was the only one that could give them any kind of offense at all. And then you saw him late in this game just not have enough. He had the 2 fouls early, and then he had 5 fouls with like 5 minutes to go in this game. And so he just, between the fouls and the amount of energy and effort he's had to exert, and that knee, I'm really worried about that knee for Luka to see if he has it. And you just saw him get beat over and over again by Harden late in this game, and the Mavs just didn't have enough energy to fulfill the comeback.
I mean, we were, midway through the first quarter, and I'm already firing off tweets. It's Game 1 all over again, and, I gave it the old good reverse jinx attempt, and it came through. And then, by the third quarter, I was like the Lee Corso gif where it's like, not so fast, my friend. It was an amazing game to watch. And I think as a basketball fan, as a spectator, entertainment-wise, 12 out of 10 would recommend. It's unfortunate for the Mavs that didn't come out with a victory because now they have to go back to LA for Game 5. And all the momentum seems to have shifted. And what's worse in this situation for the Mavs is they can't win with Kawhi off the floor. How is that possible that one of the best defenders in the history of the NBA doesn't play? And those are the 2 games that the Mavs lose. And lose it to an extent where they were getting beat badly in the first quarter.
I've been saying this. Even before the series started on Locked On Mavs, I've been talking about how Kawhi makes their offense. If he's not going to be 100%, not going to be able to hit threes, he's 0 of 5 so far in this series from 3. If he's not going to be that guy, that killer instinct type guy, then he makes their offense so slow and methodical, and he gets into his shots and he takes his time. And so Harden and Paul George fall into place, and they do the exact same thing. And so this Clippers offense that we're seeing without Kawhi Leonard is lots of pick and roll with James Harden, lots of Paul George coming off of off-ball screens and things like that. The Mavericks have to stay connected on defense, and they have to communicate, and they have to make sure they know who's helping and who's not helping, because there are so many different times in this game where somebody would come help, but then also somebody else would come help with them, and then somebody else is over on the back door for Zubats or Terrence Mann or somebody wide open in the corner for a 3. That defense just has to stay connected in this.
Yeah, I thought down the stretch there, James Harden, what do you have, 15 points in the fourth quarter, and all of them were non-contest. When he goes by P.J. Washington on what I thought was the dagger bucket, there's got to be some level of contest. There's got to be some sort of help. And I realize you're leaving another Clipper down low, and it can lead to, kind of an alley-oop situation. But you got to rely on help defense in those situations and not give one of the best floating shooters a wide open look from about 5 feet. So I was disheartened with the Mavs defensive effort down the stretch. just looked like there was some confusion. That's why I'm kind of curious to see how they switch up for Game 5, because they are good about making those adjustments, and this Mavericks team is good defensively. This is not your older brother's Mavs that couldn't play defense and just tried to outscore you every game. They were top 5, top 10 in defense over the last 2 months. So I like what I saw for the most part. They just couldn't get out of their own way in the first quarter. Will there be an emotional letdown in Game 5 after all the energy this one took? That is also something to look at.
Jonah, you touched on it a little bit there, the help defense down the stretch. There were a lot of questions, especially from Mavs fans on social media, about the decision to not play Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively down the stretch, and they had Maxi Kleber on the floor instead. Would either of you have wanted to change that, or do you feel like Kidd made the right call there?
He went small with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it's just a long time to go with that small look to end the game. And I think they ran out of gas by the end of it. And to have one of those big guys back there to just anchor the paint, to have somebody to rely on back there, it just changes up what they have to do and how much energy and effort they have to put forth. And so I think once you took the lead with like 2 minutes left, then you put the big back in, kind of play like a prevent sort of thing. And I think Kidd went with that small ball lineup just a little too long in that fourth.
At the end of the day, the Clippers shot 18 of 29 from three-point range. Regardless of what the Mavs do, that's really hard to overcome. We said that they couldn't possibly do it again after they did in Game 1, and they did do it again in Game 4. Mavs couldn't possibly play as bad as they did in the first half in Game 1, and they did it again in Game 4. So apparently history can repeat itself, even that much of an outlier.
And the important thing is, compared to a week ago, we certainly feel better about the Mavs' chances moving forward. We'll see if they can bounce back, but certainly they showed the mettle, considering how things were shaping up. Anyway, when we come back, we're not done. We're moving on to the NFL Draft. Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Despite 40 points from Kyrie Irving, the Mavs dropped Game 4 of their first-round series with the Clippers. The series is now tied at 2 games apiece. And the Rangers defeat the Reds 4-3. Wyatt Langford, the rookie, hit his first career home run. It was an inside the Parker. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Time to talk about the NFL Draft, and we got a new panelist, Mike.
We do. We swap out a Mavs beat writer for a Cowboys beat writer. Clarence Hill of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram joining us, along with Jonah Javad once again. Gentlemen, the draft is in the books. 8 new Cowboys on the roster. Did the Cowboys salvage their offseason with this draft? Clarence, we'll start with you.
No, they didn't fill all the needs, all the holes. They had too many holes coming out of certainly an offseason or free agency, which they practically did nothing. So you couldn't fill all the holes in the draft. But it was a start, and it was smart of them to move back in the first round. It was savvy to move back in the first round to gain an extra pick, because, again, they had so many holes to fill, and to move back and get your guy and also get a starter in Cooper Beebe, who I think may be the best draft pick they made at guard. That was a good start to trying to rebuild what you lost in the offseason. But, again, this team is not more talented today than it was at the end of the season in Green Bay. That's still they still have room to make up in that respect if that's what they're trying to do. And I don't know if that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree with Chill. I think Beebe is a great pick, and they kind of lucked out that he was there when they selected. Getting 2 starting offensive linemen is a big help for them, because that was kind of the big question mark going into the offseason. But yeah, I mean, the holes they're trying to fill are too wide to be plugging in with guys who've never played an NFL snap. So I don't think you can expect a rookie to come in and replace that type of production. But also, this is Jerry and the Cowboys we're talking about, and they're not done. I get the feeling that they will still look to add veteran free agents, whether it's this offseason, whether it comes summertime after cuts, or even up to the trade deadline. This could be a team that really doesn't fill these voids maybe until close to mid-season. So it's agreed with Clarence. It's a start, but did they answer all their question marks in 3 days? No.
There was no way that they were going to. What do you guys think about the first-round pick? Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle at Oklahoma. They made the decision to trade back, as you guys both alluded to, and that obviously adds to the stockpile of what they come out of this weekend with. But specifically with Guyton, what do you like about what he can do, and how plug-and-play do we think he can be at that left tackle spot?
Well, the plug-and-play is the question, but he's 6'7". He got long arms, former basketball player. You love that athleticism. Again, Tyron Smith was a top 10 pick. He wasn't a 24th or 29th pick. So, I mean, I understand the comparisons and what you're trying to do, but it's folly to think it's just going to come in and beat Tyron Smith from right off the bat. From right off the bat. But, I mean, you like the potential. But, again, here's a guy who was no more honorable mention in Big 12. You know, he wasn't as good in the Big 12 as Cooper Beebe was. So there's a projection here, but the best part of the pick is that you don't move Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith can be a Pro Bowl, every year Pro Bowl left guard, possibly Hall of Fame type left guard in the vein of Zach Martin. And so now you don't have to try to move him to left tackle, and you have your left tackle.
When it comes to Tyler Guyton, the football player, I'm not totally convinced on the pick. I like it a lot more at 29 versus, had they picked at their original position, trading down. Definitely makes the pick feel a little bit better. But yeah, he doesn't have a long football history from high school, played just 1 year of high school ball, bounced around a little bit in college. So there's experience, but not a ton. And as Chill said, he wasn't a big prospect. I actually didn't think he was, maybe in that top 6, top 7 offensive lineman range. But again, at pick 29, worth a shot. And off the field with his family, his friends, the connection of being a diehard Cowboys fan, growing up outside of Austin, you can see the pride in him. And I just kind of watched him throughout his introductory press conference on Friday. And when the cameras weren't on him, and I don't even know if we were paying attention to this, but he just kept taking deep breaths and looking up to the sky and looking around and letting the moment hit him. And when you've got players like that who are proud, they will play hard, they will work hard, and I think that's all the Cowboys can hope for. And
Jonah, you alluded to the fact that the Cowboys are likely not done with this offseason with acquiring players. One of the worst-kept secrets in DFW right now is the likely return of Zeke Elliott. One of the most questionable comments, though, of the weekend from Jerry Jones was saying that he feels Zeke Elliott in 2024 is a starting caliber running back. Chill, I'll start with you. Yay or nay?
Nay. It's all relative. Compared to who? Compared to who you have in your locker room, in your running back room now? Yes. Compared to the guys that have their running back room, yes, he's that starting caliber running back. But this is not the Zeke Elliott that we saw win 2 rushing titles during his early time with the Cowboys. This is certainly a different Ezekiel Elliott. And, Jerry said a lot of things that were questionable because he talked about he liked the way Zeke ran toward the end of the season last year. Well, if you look at some of his numbers toward the end of the season, they weren't that good. But again, Jerry's selling hope. Just him. It was Jerry also talking about we could trade for a running back in the middle of the season, and we're going to add people. And the problem is saying we're going to add people in the post-draft free agency. Who? I mean, the people that could really help you are gone. And they were signed in the real free agency. And now you're going to post-draft free agency and possibly looking to trade or add somebody maybe, who gets cut, or doesn't pan out some other team during training camp. But there's no one out there, for you really to add to this roster. But the Zeke thing is real. The Zeke thing is happening, and it could happen this week, early this week.
I think he can be a starter. Maybe, the first snap, and then you bring in Deuce Vaughn, you got a whole rotating committee. Why not?
He can start at center.
He has experience now. He has experience under his belt.
Listen, to Chill's point, if they're available now, they are a Zeke Elliott level player.
Yeah.
At this stage of Zeke's career, the guys that are left that Dallas can go get are not going to help you that much.
And just another indicator of how devalued the running back position is becoming, that a team that needs a running back didn't even bother to address it in the draft and is hoping on the dregs of a tired career at this point, I think is the best way to put it. So regardless, we are not done. We're keeping it on football, though. Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by our North Texas Chevy dealers. Next up, no fence riding. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Everyone is back in now, including Nick Angstadt. He took a segment off. He's back in now with Clarence Hill, Jonah, and, of course, Mike Leslie. Time now, though, for everyone's favorite game, no fence riding. The concept is simple. I have a couple statements. The panelists either agree or disagree. No waffling on your answer or else you get called out. So let's kick things off with our first statement. Reggie Bush deserved to get his Heisman Trophy back. Mike, what do you think?
I'm on a yes with this one, absolutely. I think it was ridiculous considering the nature of some of the things that other Heisman Trophy winners have done, and they didn't lose their Heisman. For Reggie to be the only one that was singled out the way that he was, and for him to lose his Heisman didn't make sense to me in the first place, and now in the current landscape of college sports, for him to not have it is utterly ridiculous. Yes, he absolutely should have gotten it back. Jonah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head like, how is this even a topic? Yeah, absolutely deserved to get it back.
Not a ringing endorsement of Andrew Cely.
Hang on a second. This is a hot button
topic. He got a limo ride to the Heisman Trophy. I remember the quote, I think this was years ago, and they took it away. It's like he deserves some high-profile punishment because he was some high-profile player. Give me a break, right? I mean, what he did for college football back then, arguably one of the most electric college football players of all time. I'm a millennial, so he's my favorite college football player of all time. I'm glad it's back. It should have never been taken away.
Yeah, this is exactly like when a law becomes not a law anymore. Like something is not outlawed anymore, and they release all the people from jail that went to jail because of all those rules in the past, right? So like this is exactly what's gonna happen. If they had NIL back then, he would still have his Heisman, and it wouldn't be a big deal at all. So I can't even think of like the opposite of this. Like why would he not deserve it?
Well, I got the opposite. It should have gone to Vince Young. It was Vince Young's Heisman. He was on the bench on 4th and 1. Vince Young took that Heisman home with him in that national championship game in 2006. It belongs in Austin. They should have just taken it from Reggie and given it to Vince in the first place. Give it to Vince.
The resident Longhorn heard from on the panel. Listen, if they had voted after the national championship game, he would have won the award, absolutely.
Yeah, and to be fair, Vince was offered the award, so he had the opportunity to take it. He gracefully declined, including Mac Brown was also part of that decision-making process. But kudos to Vince for even allowing that decision-making process to happen and to just step aside. Because I think the reason why this topic is here, to throw Jonah under the bus here, is because this deserves to be talked about, and it deserves to actually be denigrated for how ridiculous it was to begin with. We're talking about something that wasn't even proven to begin with in terms of what money he did or did not accept, how it even entered his family's hands to begin with. It's one specific point in his career that did not affect anything he did on the field. And I think that's ultimately where I lay down on this. Absolutely, he deserves his Heisman back. It shouldn't be a conversation, except with Vince.
This shouldn't be a conversation, says the producer who created the conversation.
But that's why. That's why we're doing it. It's just so we can get all this out there. All right, anyway, statement number 2. Pete Rose should never enter the Baseball Hall of Fame. Hard never. Mike, what do you think?
This one I have a harder time not waffling on, but I will co-sign that he shouldn't go in. We just saw an NBA player get banned for betting on sports. It's just something you cannot do. I do struggle, however, with the dichotomy of punishing guys for betting on games and these leagues jumping in with both feet to all of these different betting landscapes. That part of it feels contradictory, feels wrong to me. But as an athlete, you shouldn't do it.
Nick, start us off here. What do you think?
Yeah, as a kid from Cincinnati, he should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. You cannot tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, and I think that's what Hall of Fames are for. Put a little asterisk next to him, put something there. There also should be some kind of statute of limitations for things like this. Like, it's been long enough. Let the guy in, right, for the end of his life. Let him be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
So are we going to let in the Black Sox here is the question of 1919? Are we going to go back that far and allow the people that have tainted the legacy of the sport to enter a hallowed hall? Jonah, what do you think?
Well, it's part of the story of the game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Pete Rose never bet on his team to lose, right? It wasn't like a Jonte Porter situation where he's betting on himself to
brick. He did not bet on them to lose. He did admit to betting on the Reds, but he said he never bet on them to lose.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. If you're that confident, you're going to lay your own Skrilla on winning the game. So be it. This segment's brought to you by WFAA Bet. I'm joking. Not legal in Texas. You can't do it. I'm joking. But I say you let him in.
Clarence, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Jonah. I'm with Mike. He should be in. Oh, well, Mike said no. I'm with Jonah and Nick. He should be in. He's in the Hall of Fame. We know he's a Hall of Fame. It's almost like the Reggie Bush stuff we talked about. Time, it's a new day and age. Back then when they were doing that, leagues were not on board. They were not in bed with gambling sites. And now everybody's in bed with gambling sites, and you're telling these people they can't bet, and on games. Again, the fact that he didn't bet against his team to lose, that's the integrity part that you want out of the game, because it could have influenced the outcome, but nothing he did influenced the outcome of the game. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, and the rest of those guys as well.
So that kind of answers my follow-up here with regards to the steroid users, because I think that's kind of the ultimate question in all of this for me personally, which is Pete Rose bet knowing what happened to the 1919 team. I think that's where I come down on this. Like, he saw the speed limit and then immediately just blew by it anyway, both as a player and a manager. Regardless of whether he bet on his team to win or lose, he still bet. He still took that extra step. And that, to me, it's like you deserve what comes to you after that.
That's why this is a tough, no fence riding subject, because there is so much nuance to this discussion. The fact that he didn't bet on his own team makes it inherently so different than what the Black Sox did.
Yeah, but it's like people smoking weed back in the 70s, knowing it's illegal and going to jail for a lifetime. Okay, times have changed. Our attitudes have changed toward marijuana. They've changed toward gambling. The leagues have changed their attitudes toward gambling. We should not be holding that against him because the Black Sox did it. He shouldn't have done it.
All right, with that, let's put it to bed. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Jonah Javad, Clarence Hill, Nick Angstadt of the Locked On Mavs podcast. Fellas, thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Our final take coming up. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Time now for Mike's final take.
I'd be remiss if we didn't at least talk about the Dallas Stars a little bit on this show. What a performance last night from Wyatt Johnston, who will not turn 21 for another 2.5 weeks, but last night playing hero in overtime and saving the Dallas Stars season, giving them an opportunity to come back in this series in Vegas, Game 4 tomorrow night. Wyatt Johnston is a star in the making. Frankly, he's a star already, Andrew, and the Dallas Stars have got something really, really special in this kid. Their season is still alive because of Wyatt Johnston. Thanks so much for watching the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. We'll see you next week right back here at 11 o'clock on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.